Hello, UAE Grow Your Finances community.
Where we discuss how to make your money work for you as opposed to the other way around, and how best to grow your finances within the UAE. Here, we like to flip challenges around and create ideas, opportunities, and possibilities so that we can all succeed together, because there are enough seats for everyone at this table. Disclaimer, we are not financial advisors and do not offer any type of professional advice. We only hold discussions around the topic from personal experience and invite guests to provide information and context around ventures we are personally involved in or interested in. We have a really fun-packed and informative episode today. We will be speaking to our real estate agent, Ryan. You might have heard us speak about him on the group in the past, and we actually have formed a relationship with him personally from working closely with him and picking his brain, because we do like to pick his brain on a regular basis about his opinion on real estate in Dubai at the moment. He's actually in the same situation as us. He's also looking for his family home, just like we are. And so we found him really, really helpful in our search for property, as well as people who we've referred to him. They found him super helpful. Some of them have actually found their homes. Some of them have sold their homes. And today he's joining us to answer all your questions and all of our questions too, so that you can learn from our process of finding our family home in Dubai.
We are super excited because he is the master when it comes to property. It's so great to have a conversation when you talk to him, especially nowadays, because the property market in Dubai is booming. And yeah, we're super excited to get into this episode.
But first, we have some little discussion topics to get into. I love these discussions.
Juicy ones today.
Juicy, once again, juicy. So, Russ.
That's me.
Are you ready to make finance fun?
Absolutely.
In 3, 2, 1.
Fun.
Okay, so today's discussion topic is one that is very prominent in our lives, and it's something that we certainly have not mastered. We are not the experts on, so we're just going to put it all out there on the table today. All of our thoughts and feelings on this topic, because maybe we'll come to a conclusion, maybe we won't. Let's see. Please let us know your thoughts on it, because we could do with some help. And that is the topic of finding the balance between enjoying life now versus saving for later.
Wow, this is a big one, and I'm a bit nervous about this topic right now. But I have to say that I'm all about having a good life later, and I think Kim is all about having a good life now.
Correct.
I mean, the balance is getting there. She's starting to learn from me. I'm struggling to learn from her about having a good life now. However, I am improving in that area. I think that I do need to improve in that area. I think it's very important to making sure that your life is happy today, tomorrow, and next year.
And I also need to improve. So finding that balance really is a fine tune, I think. Because for me, I am quite impulsive, I would say, especially when it comes to buying treats, guys. Acai bowls are my weakness. I love health and wellness, all things health and wellness. And of course, I have those cravings, and I like to have fun. And a lot of our fun actually revolves around food, funny enough. So I hop onto Talabat and I get a little finger happy and I order. You know, that's, I think, my biggest weakness. As well as, I think, also online shopping. Actually, 2 days ago, I bought a massage gun.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Do you know about this? To relax our muscles.
Oh, that's a good buy, honestly speaking. I should have done that ages ago, because I do need a massage right now.
See, we're finding some balance.
However, this topic is extreme in most cases, because people struggle to find that balance. And from my perspective, we need to, yes, enjoy our life today, but we really do need to think about our future. And we need to think about the future of our children. Because if you have a child today, 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, you need to make sure that they are comfortable. I mean, just to send one child to school today in the UAE is you need to have a lot of money, and you need to make sure that sometimes you do need to make those sacrifices. But also, making money, you need to spend money as well, because money attracts money. So today, if I keep all the money in my bank account and I don't spend on anything and I live a very minimalist life, maybe I will never get to that point of comfortability in terms of my finance. But if I spend today and I enjoy my life a little bit more and I'm happy and I have a good mentality about life, money will be attracted to me. I'm a firm believer of this. I never used to be. I learned a lot from Kimberly on this regard.
He had to see it to believe it, basically.
Correct. I mean, I had to see it to believe it. This is often my mentality. I'm very stubborn like that. But I do think that you need to spend money to make money. And not just about spending money on your business to make money. I'm saying spend money on your lifestyle to get that happiness around money.
Yeah, it's all about also the connotation around money. So I was actually listening to another podcast. We do this regularly. We listen to podcasts. We love listening to podcasts, which is part of the reason why we started a podcast ourselves. We just love learning from discussions and from people sharing their knowledge. But somebody was sharing about, and maybe I'll put the reference below or link below so that you can have a look. But somebody was sharing about a conference that they went to, and it was all successful women in business. So they all were making money, and they were obviously on different levels. But the person running the conference asked the attendees to react with their bodies to the word money with their eyes closed. So they said, close your eyes. And when I say the word money, put your body in the shape that feels most natural to you. So they did it. And then they opened their eyes. And most people were in the fetal position. Most people were like curled up and in like an anxious position. And I think only a couple of people had their arms up to the sky open. And I actually practiced it as she was saying it in the podcast. She was saying, make your body in a position when you hear the word money. And immediately my hands went up to the sky before she even talked about the result. And I found it so interesting. I was like, oh my gosh. So I did the experiment on you when you got home from work and you had a cringe reaction. Your body went inwards. It cringed. So we need to realize and bring awareness to the fact that this actually goes much deeper. People have trauma around money. And we can talk about generational trauma and all of that, but let's keep it simple. Things could have happened in the family, immediate family, maybe grandparents, for example, or even personal experience. Things could have happened in somebody's life, like just even a traumatic experience. And by the way, trauma doesn't have to be a huge thing. Trauma basically just means that it lasts. It has a lasting effect on your life, on your visceral reaction, so on your bodily reaction, which affects your decisions. So obviously, this plays a role for people. And I know that Russ has anxiety around money, and there is a history there that's been passed on through generations, I think, in your case.
For sure. And it's very important for us not to get stuck on the fact that I have these money issues and it's the worst thing in the world and this and that. No, we need to realize that maybe it's got nothing to do with you. You know, like Kim said, maybe it's just generational trauma that you have, you know. So please don't get caught up on it. You need to really say, okay, I have this issue. I need to work on it, and maybe do this test. Maybe get someone to speak to you about money and see how your body reacts. And maybe practice on giving yourself more, spending more, enjoying the money a bit more, and try on a monthly basis the same exercise to see how you're improving.
Yeah, there's no shame in it whatsoever. There's no shame. We have experiences in our life that form our perceptions of the world, and that's just the way it is. And so we become aware of it and we work to improve because everybody can improve. Nobody has a perfect life experience. Nobody has day to day, every single moment is so wonderful and rainbows and butterflies and glitter. So we all have the things that get us and we all constantly working to improve it just so that we can evolve into an easier, more peaceful, free life.
Exactly.
And that's what we enjoy doing, right? So, coming back to the topic of finding a balance between abundance mindset and a stingier scarcity mindset, I'm going to hold on to my money, I shouldn't spend money, versus money's amazing, I want to go shopping, I want to give myself all the things. I think finding a balance comes with responsibility, a sense of responsibility, and having a plan and having a vision and respecting money.
Absolutely.
So you've got to also have that respect for money. And often, you hear your parents say as you grow up, money doesn't grow on trees, or, they remind you on how hard they had to work for the money that you're asking for as a child for that toy or whatever it is that you want. And when you're an adult, you see that. You see the truth in it. You have to really experience it to understand it fully. But it all comes down to respecting money.
Correct. So by respecting money, when we talk about respecting money, something big pops into my head. Discounts. When you are speaking to someone about buying their service, you need to understand that you are a customer. You are the reason why their business is still alive. They would not mind giving you a small discount every now and again, obviously if it's reasonable. So let's say I buy a massage today. And I say to them, okay, if I buy 2 massages, one this week, one next week, would you give me a 20% discount? This for me is respecting money.
Yeah.
Because you've given them more business and in return you expect a little bit of a discount, And I know this is something that you struggle with a lot, is asking for a discount. I'm not saying that you completely destroy the company's margins. I'm saying make sure that you are not overspending on the service.
Good point. So the trauma also goes the other way. So for me, I struggle to ask. I always feel like I need to give more than I'm receiving. So that's my little challenge, is that I also need to have that self-worth and value within myself and realize the value that I'm contributing in the deal, whatever dealing it is, during my life, and realize my true value and what I bring to the table. So as the customer, what I'm bringing to the table, I didn't think of it that way. I thought, okay, they're offering me a service, they're doing something for me, I gotta give. And give them the review and thank them and possibly give them the tip and. I didn't think about my value in that situation. I probably never would have, So I think realizing your value in every situation and doing that inner work also to work on your sense of self-worth and value, it plays a role. These are things that we maybe don't realize because when I look at myself, I think, oh, you know what? I like myself. I'm a confident person. I'm doing well in life. I realize the good things that I bring to the table. But then if you go a little bit deeper and you look at the things that are difficult for you in life, or maybe something that you would like to change and you don't really know how to go about it, that usually comes from a little bit deeper. So for example, when you get upset that I'm spending a little bit too much, I have to really look at myself and ask myself, why? Why am I doing this? I don't have spending problems, I don't think, but I think that we're on the same page, that we are working towards something. And so we just got to have that communication back and forth and check in.
And this is so important with all relationships because, at the end of the day, you need to have that conversation with your husband, wife, partner. For us, we share a bank account. We share all our investments. Everything is shared, But some people, they keep their bank account separate and they keep their investments separate and they keep everything separate, almost like something could happen. Then it's going to be an easy walk away. However, you guys need to realize that you need to have that conversation. Whether or not it's in my bank account, my partner and me need to understand what is in my bank account. Need to understand, because at the end of the day, if I've got huge debt, it's going to affect all of us in the long run.
Yeah.
So have that conversation if you haven't already. Obviously, don't have it in a doom singling way. Don't have it like, oh my God, let's have this scary conversation. No, have it in a lightheartedly. Go to a coffee shop, have a nice coffee croissant, and speak about it. Speak open.
Yeah, he would never have said that a year ago, have a coffee and a croissant, because, sorry to all the French listeners, the way we say that word.
Croissant.
No, don't even try. Because, it's not cheap going out for a coffee and a cake.
Yeah.
And we're going to just say cake.
Have that small chocolate as well. So do that when you are talking about a hard thing like money. Spoil yourself, because at the end of the day, it's hard to have these conversations.
It actually comes back to what we were talking about last week a little bit in last week's episode about how you feel when you spend on your appearance.
Exactly.
Comes back to that, embodying that confidence and embodying that attitude towards life, towards money, and the way you move in the world. And there are other ways in which you can work on that. Of course, there really are. And we can do maybe an episode on that, because that's my area of interest. In terms of inner work, in terms of rewiring the nervous system, in terms of neuroplasticity, all of that fun stuff. But these are little ways that you can start working on building that new lease on life.
Absolutely.
And speaking about leases, let's get into this episode.
Let's do it.
Ryan, everybody.
Welcome, Ryan. So great to have you here. We've known Ryan for a very long time, but actually first face-to-face meeting.
I am particularly excited about this episode because real estate is my passion. I'm not really that interested in finances, but I am interested in real estate. So I have so many questions for you, and we've written down some questions so that we don't forget to cover everything, because we know that everybody in Dubai wants to know what is happening with this real estate market right now, because it is blowing up.
So firstly, Ryan, please explain who you are and what you do.
No pressure. Thank you very much for having me, guys. I'm very excited to meet you in person again, number one, because we have been speaking for a very long time. So my name's Ryan. As you've just said, I work for Allsop and Allsop Real Estate, one of the largest real estate companies here in Dubai. I've actually bumped into Ross and Kim because you were originally one of my clients. I think I was referred to you through a Facebook group, funnily enough.
I think so. Yes.
Full circle. So I'm a senior sales specialist. I predominantly specialize in JVC. But the way that we work, if we pick somebody up that's looking, we cover pretty much anywhere in New Dubai. So through our network, we can help anybody pretty much anywhere in the New Dubai area.
What is going on in Dubai property market? It's going crazy. It's out of control. It's almost like the stock market a few years ago on steroids. If you can tell us, what in your opinion is the reason for these inflated prices? Because we are nervous about our contract ending, and I'm sure everyone else is, just to get another rental in. And I'm sure a lot of people are considering buying, but where do you buy? What do you buy? So this is a fantastic episode, I think, for many people that will be listening today.
We ourselves are in the same position as Ryan knows, but for the listeners, we're also saving up to buy something that we feel is worth our money. So at the moment, it's quite a dilemma in Dubai at the moment. So we want to know what is happening in Dubai with the real estate market. Why is it going crazy? Why is it blowing up? Help us understand what's happening.
So this is what we're speaking about every day. This is what everybody wants to know. Now, what I'm going to say is obviously just my view from having feet on the ground and speaking about real estate literally right now, what feels like about 18 hours a day, every single day, 7 days a week.
I'm sure.
But the interesting thing that myself and you guys share pretty much the same brief of what we're looking to do this year. So I'm also looking to get my family home.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly the same brief as you guys. So we're probably going to end up as neighbors if we continue speaking about what we speak about all the time. But also this seems to be the same brief that I get 5, 6, 7 times a day. Like, this is where we have so much of the market is looking for the same sort of category, same sort of price range. And I think, having a quick look over some of your questions earlier on, I think you guys are going to come into that later on, or we're going to come into that later on. From my view, having feet on the ground, I put it down to 3 main factors as to what's caused where we are now. So number one, you've just touched on it, rent. Obviously, the rental market has exploded. Insane. We were just speaking about sort of comparing prices in the building you guys used to be and where they are now. Since we sold your place, the prices in there have gone insane, like mind-blowing levels. But it's allowed you guys to move on. So, but yeah, that's a huge factor. There's so much of the market is now tenants who previously probably would never have moved into the sales market. You know, they've come here, they're expats, everybody comes here with a 2-year idea and then turns into a 10, 15-year idea. Yeah. And then they get to the end of that cycle and go, oh, I've been renting for 10, 15 years, I could have just bought a place. I feel like because the rental market has increased so quickly, it's accelerated people's process into going, yeah, okay, this doesn't make sense anymore. I'm not going from paying 100k to paying 250k for the same place I've been in for the last 2 years, when I could just buy a place. So that's one huge factor. That's one huge client base that's exploded for us this year. Number two, the confidence in the Dubai market. Still following on from the COVID recovery, where the other markets in the rest of the world are coming down, Dubai is continuing to go up. And now we're on a plinth, we're in a frame against the rest of the world. You know, we featured in Forbes magazine as least likely to go into a bubble market, which is when things pop and crash. So that's added extra confidence. You've got markets like the UK and the US where people are really struggling. We've got loads of people coming over from Germany where they've got insane taxation laws and they're going, you know what, this isn't working anymore. And I'm looking at all this media and everything about how well Dubai recovered and how everybody thought that would come to an end very quickly. The bubble never burst. We're still going and going. So there's huge confidence in the market. So because the rental market has increased so quickly and is now so high, and because there's so much demand and so little supply, if you can get yourself as an investor, there's no hiding the market's higher than where we've been for a significant period of time, but it still makes sense. So it still makes sense to get into something and get 7 to 9% net ROI instead of leaving your money in the bank. It's always going to make sense to buy over lots of other investment routes and investment strategies. So investors certainly aren't turned off. So there's still huge demand from investors to be able to take advantage of where the rents are.
Do you think Expo 2020 played a role in the increase in prices in Dubai?
From where I sit, where I cover and what I spend most of my time speaking about is the volume market. So for me, not so much, I'll be honest with you. We had a lot of hype in the volume market and a lot of buyers that were speculating throughout Expo that they were going to wait until October and then the market was suddenly going to fall through the floor because Expo left.
Yeah.
Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. The people that were coming here for Expo weren't coming here to go to the pavilion one day and then buy a property suddenly the next day.
Correct.
It wasn't just going to fall through the floor in October. So we were doing a lot of education over the Expo period to kind of show that wasn't the case. I think following on from Expo, a lot of people did expect that to happen. Obviously, very quickly, they saw that wasn't happening, and then the opposite was actually happening. And I think Expo just increased people's view of Dubai across the rest of the world, was just another thing to show people. I think, if anything, it was after Expo that it would have had an impact.
Yeah, and I think it also motivated the leaders of the UAE. They took it as an opportunity to really grow Dubai because we were showing it off to the world. And now they have implemented new plans for Dubai. I don't know how long they've been in motion, but there's some serious plans going on for Dubai. So they're expanding the beaches, they're expanding the public areas, and they're making it like really amazing. So I think that's also motivating people to buy because they know that it's growing. There's attention being paid to growing Dubai and making it a great place and a great lifestyle.
And there's so much space, right? I mean, you can build on the desert, right? So how many acres and acres and acres do you have of desert space that they can build on, you know?
Yeah, so it's growing.
It really is. And it's great to see. I mean, we're super excited about the market because this is where we live. And this is where we probably will be living for the next 10 to 15 years minimum, right?
I think a big difference with the 2040 plan in Dubai versus if other places around the world put things like this into place and into motion, people can see in Dubai this happening. So you drive down the 311 and you can see all the flyovers currently being landscaped. You can see them ripping all the sand out the side of the road and turning it into green space. You can see Expo City currently being turned into a city. So it's not a vision. You know, it was someone's vision and now people can see it happening, which obviously adds to the confidence where they can see it's tangible.
That's so true.
I think the confidence is a big thing, you know. I mean,
Huge.
We talk about confidence all the time over the group and over all of our platforms because financial confidence is as much of a boost as property confidence in the country, in the region. So confidence is a huge factor to push people to either buy, rent, live
Make
in the area.
moves.
For sure. Make moves, exactly.
Commit.
Yeah.
Correct. The more confident I get, the more risky I get sometimes. So let's get on to a question that I'm sure many people have been asking, and many people do actually ask all of our group. What do the average Joe, what are the people with a middle range income, what do they look for? Like, where do they go now? What areas, what options are there out there for them?
Hello, it's me.
And
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
No, I think it's definitely changed. Like this year, it's changed. It's noticeably changed. So previously, where we are now at that sort of 2.5 mil mark is where we seem to be getting. That's kind of like a buzz. It's a number that we just hear all day, every day.
Yeah.
In the volume side is what I'm going to say. Obviously, a lot of what I can give you and a lot of my perspective is from the fact that I work in this volume market. You know, I don't cover an area which is extremely high value, low volume. It's extremely high volume, slightly lower value. So this sort of average Joe thing that you're referring to, Ross, this is exactly really what I spend all day speaking about. It's changed. So previously we were at that 2 mil mark. Generally, that's where people were looking 2 mil, 3-bed townhouse. And we had options. Like you could go out on Al Qudra Road and that's where you would have loads of options. Now, it's a struggle. It's a real struggle. So people have started moving further out. My predominant area, JVC, still offers fantastic value if you want space. There are compromises. So if you want a townhouse in our area, you're very central, location's fantastic. You can get space that you cannot get in other communities, internal space for that money. But you sacrifice the community. It's the way I describe it to everybody is it's living in a small town or a city anywhere else in the world, not a villa community. So we're very spoiled here that a lot of people are used to that villa community, gated community, walk to the pool, walk to the gym. Most other places in the world, you don't have that. Most other places that everybody here has come from doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But we're just spoiled to be acclimatized to that. JVC isn't like that. It's like living in a town or a city anywhere else in the world. So our townhouses have very small plots over generally 2 or 3 stories. So they are tall, very large internal space, smaller external space, and you don't have that community feel. If that's not for you, we're seeing people push slightly further out. So we're seeing loads of traction in Dubai South, in D2. The Al Qudra communities are obviously still really where the vast majority of that market end up. So your town squares, your Miras, we're seeing a lot of resales happening in Cherry Woods that will hopefully now come to fruition at the end of the year. So yeah, these communities where they are a little bit further out of town, but they are great communities, value for money, and that's generally where this volume market ends up.
Because the difference is back home, you know people. Here, you have a lot of people moving. They don't have their family. They don't have their friends. So they want to make friends. They want their kids to make friends. They want to establish that sense of community and support. I know it's like that for us, especially now with a child involved. We want to find other families with children where he can have those friends and those relationships, you know,
Of course.
solid relationships.
Every community offers a bit of that. Obviously, there's some that are smaller than others, some that are larger than others. Even circling back to JVC, even though it's not that gated community feel, it's still a community. So you still have, they've got the Circle Mall, you've got 240 odd retail outlets in there, you've got the multiple soft plays and the pool on the roof that's kind of taken over by Huna Aquatic. So you've got 32 parks and gardens. So there's still a huge amount of community. Don't get me wrong, and there's still community groups that meet. It's just not, you just can't leave your front door and walk to the local pool, but it's a different type of community. It's like community anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I completely get you.
Yeah, that point about we are so spoiled in this country, it's so true. I mean, The funny thing is, most of us, we are so bummed when we don't have a pool, but when we do have a pool, we don't even use it.
Yeah.
So especially for us, I mean, we have a beautiful pool, a beautiful area here where we live. And I think I've been to the pool 3 times.
It's amazing to have these facilities for kids, and we do need to remember where we are, and we do need to take advantage of them whilst we can. But it's not the be all and end all. Like, we live in such a fantastic place that if you want to take the kids to the pool at the weekend, we can go and do a hotel day, and it feels like you're getting a whole day for 12 hours. Like, there's so many things for us to do here that it doesn't necessarily just have to focus around the amenities in the specific community.
So true. Yeah.
So I heard you mention Dubai Self.
Yeah.
And speaking of going a different direction and not going for an established community, what is your opinion of buying land to build? Because from what we hear, you can get better value for your money doing that, as opposed to buying a ready townhouse, for example, or a ready villa, for example.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this because I think it's an option. Is it not?
It's definitely an option. You need to be prepared. Obviously, you guys like a bit of work. You need to be prepared for a bit of work.
For sure.
It's not something that obviously I have a vast amount of experience on. I'm not going to try and say that I sell loads of land and watch people do the whole process. I don't.
Yeah.
What I do a lot of is sell custom units. We sell units in my specific area where people have done this. So there's communities where this was very common. Obviously now the plots have pretty much gone in these communities, but JVC, Jumeirah Park, the bottom of JVT and bottom of District 1. So there are communities now where this was a thing, but it's just, I know you guys are more interested in it for pushing the boundaries of the cities, because there's a lot of opportunities down in Dubai South, for example.
Yeah, and I mentioned that specifically because Jebel Ali Hills is a new community that's coming up with land for sale for very reasonable prices.
Yeah.
You get pretty big space for a reasonable price, and I find that very interesting because Dubai is expanding. That might actually become a prime area eventually. So if you buy there, for example, and then build, you could actually hit a bit of a gold mine there.
Yeah, I think that side of town, definitely keep an eye on that for the future. I mean, the plans that are down there are vast. You only need to go down there once and see the gap between the two sides of Dubai South. So if you look at where the Pulse community is on the top of Dubai South next to Expo, and then if you go down to Emaar South, you're like a 15-minute drive between those two communities, and that whole thing will eventually be populated. There is a road network there, but obviously there's still a lot to get done. We all know what the plans are for the airport down there, and obviously you'll have Expo City. So fair enough, you are a little bit out of town, but if you live there, and we all know that we get in, once we've been here a couple of years, we get into this groove where we kind of go from our house to Spinneys and then back to our house, and then
literally.
I drive to downtown now, and I'm like, whoa, I've not been here in like 6 months.
So true.
So, when you're down there and when it is more developed, your Expo City is going to be your town. And that's amazing. Like, I'm very excited for Expo City because it's pedestrianized, which is what's going to be incredible about Expo City.
Wow.
So if you're in Pulse Villas or if you're in Emaar South, you're 10-15 minutes away from what's going to be a hub. So yeah, it's not that far away.
And Jebel Ali Hills is close to there too.
We're back.
So yeah, no, I'm interested because really I think that it's now a free zone, and they do financing for the properties also. You have financing options, which I think is also a new thing in Dubai.
Yeah, it's definitely new.
So I think that we might see the market move a little bit towards that.
Anybody that I have been in that has done this, so I've either resold their property or I've discussed reselling their property, and they've been through this process. Everybody says the same thing about here. Exactly what you've just touched on previously on the previous one, Kim. None of us have a network when we first arrive. Or if people are lucky enough to have a network here that already, that's amazing. But a lot of us, I'll rephrase. A lot of us are not blessed to have a network here. Where if you're back in your home country, your uncle's a joiner and your dad's brother's cousin's friend's an electrician, and you know who to speak to, who not to speak to. Here, it's a bit unregulated. True. Let's be honest.
And that makes sense.
It's tough to find good work unless you know where you're going and you know who you're speaking to. And I think that's the big daunting thing. That would be the big daunting thing for me, because I'm in so many different properties every day. I've seen the scale. So I've seen the scale of stuff that's been done very, very, very well. I've then seen the opposite end of that scale. And that would be what would terrify me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I see where you get in at. It would probably require a lot of work from us as the end user, I would guess.
and probably, I think a lot of the people who do that, they are running a business. So they do it over and over and over again. They learn from their mistakes and they just sell it off.
100%. Like we've never even spoken about that. And you're right. Like so many of these custom built units are, I'm not going to say copy paste, but they are people that are in the industry. Like a lot of them will be in cast work, or a lot of them will have that have that background and have that at their fingertips. One that I'm thinking of right now, that he's done an incredible job of his place, and he has everything within his family. So somebody in their family's an architect.
Okay.
Somebody in the family's a contractor. His wife's an interior designer. So they had the whole package to oversee it, and they knew if something was a red flag the whole way they were doing it. The average person, we've not got that experience. We shouldn't have that. But I think what has become very, very large, and what will continue, especially if people are doing this type of thing, is just being with a project management company that's very trustworthy. There's loads of them. As soon as you start looking at fit outs or renovations on Instagram, the next week you'll just have 500 companies popping up. But there's lots of very, very, very good fit out companies or project management companies. I think this is an area where they would potentially be able to move into going into more of the development.
Yeah, it might grow, I think, in Dubai.
Absolutely,
It's a possibility. So watch this space.
When you say watch the space, it's actually a pun, because we actually are looking for more space. This is where we talk about why we were even looking at the land side, is because we want more space for our money.
Yeah.
So this is just one of the most important points for us at the moment.
Yeah, and I see that echoed in a lot of the Facebook communities or WhatsApp communities. A lot of people are saying they're not getting enough space for their money. We feel that way, definitely,
For sure.
with the places we've looked at.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people can feel put in a box, because if you're looking at like a lot of the communities that we mentioned earlier, if you go onto Al Qudra with 2.5 million dirhams and that's what you want, that's what you need, you could look at all the communities, you can look at every single one. The vast majority of them are going to fall between 1,800 and 2,200 square foot built up area. And yeah, there are different finishes, different communities, different layouts, but ultimately that you can't get away from that bracket.
Yeah.
It's so tough to get away from that bracket.
Absolutely.
Why is that, would you say?
It's become
It
what we
works.
get here. Yeah, it works. It's become the
standard,
It's
the
become
norm.
the standard. Exactly, Ross. Yeah, thank you. So it's just become what we have. And some of them are done incredibly well. Like Talal Al Gaf has handed over a land now. The quality there is exceptional. They're still small units. They're 2,000 square foot.
Yeah.
Those of us who are not from major cities around the world are comparing the pricing to what we have back home. And it is obviously higher. But if you are from a major city around the world, you'll know that we're massively undervalued. So if you're from a major city, you'll be coming in and going, whoa, actually, this is what I can get for 2.5 mil. This is crazy.
That's true.
So there's two sides of the coin, I think. We're kind of in the middle.
And us coming from South Africa, we're like, whoa, this is the only space that we
Exactly.
get. Is there another space behind? And we're like, no. So this is just
is
the
it.
norm. This
You're
is
from a ranch, I'm from a field. It's the same thing.
correct.
We're both used to space.
Exactly. So Ryan, what are the most important factors to consider when purchasing a property in Dubai? I mean, I get questions every single day on the group. I want to buy, I just don't know how, So what, for the listeners out there, the beginners, the people that want to get into the property market, what should they have? What are the factors? What's important?
Yeah. Number one, understand affordability. So before you start this search, which especially right now can be long, arduous and very frustrating, understand your affordability. So speak with a mortgage broker. So like, for example, we have our own brokerage within our team. Speak with a mortgage broker who can advise you across the whole market. Make sure you're getting a product that's specific to you, not just going to your bank and saying, oh, I've been with them 10 years. They've told me they're going to give me a rate. Of course they have. Like, that's their job. But you speak to someone impartial, make sure you're getting honest financial advice and understand your affordability, understand where you can purchase. The affordability thing has changed immensely again in the last year because of the interest rate rises. We all need to go through stress tests, right? When we get a mortgage, we need to go through stress tests with the lender. They tell us how much we can get based on our affordability. And in some instances, somebody that could have previously got 4 million dirhams is now looking at 3 million dirhams. Nothing's changed from their personal circumstance, but that stress test has gone up so significantly that their budget, of no fault of their own, they might have the capital to do it, but the banks are stipulating that this is your budget, not you. So understand that affordability before you go and get your feet in. Have a feel for where you want to be, understand the communities. You don't want to start jumping straight in and viewing all over the city, because at that point, the property itself is not that important if the community is not going to do it for you. So go drive around, go spend a Sunday, like go and understand the communities. Of course, some of them you can't get into, some of them are gated, some of them, you can't fully explore and get a feel for, but understand location, understand the basic feel for the community, get a bit of a short list of where you really want to explore further. And number 3, when you get to the point that you're engaging with a broker or a brokerage, engage with them. So don't just send out 150 inquiries asking to view today at 3:00. Engage with someone that you can build a relationship with.
Correct.
Someone that you resonate with, someone that you feel like what you're being told is specific to you, and you're giving them information and they're giving you information in the return. It's give and take. You want to invest your time with someone who can invest their time in best helping you.
That's such an important point, because so many people, they don't understand that you get a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, you can probably get one for 1.2, 1.3 million from a developer that is not going to give you quality. That's not going to give you a community. That's not going to give you a good area. And that's why, we stick to one property agent, one mortgage advisor, someone that we can trust, someone that we have a relationship with, that is going to not just be doing it for the commission, but also doing it to make us happy. So this is a very important point. You don't go around and asking 100 agents for what you're looking for and expect to not have a hard time finding it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're looking for your home. So it's very specific. I know I'm very specific with it. It's very specific where you want to be, what style you want, how much space you want, do you want a garden, etc., etc. It's so specific. And I know that when we work with you, you come back to us with some options, and we come back to you and we say no because, and we give a reason, and it's like a specific reason. So it's very important that you're working closely with someone who knows you, understands your taste, your needs, your requirements, which are more than you realize at first. When you start to look at options, you realize that you actually have more requirements than you anticipated.
Yeah. I think the easiest way I can break it down, because listen, I get it. I'm in an industry that people love to hate, right? I've been in these industries my whole career, so I get it. So yeah, I get it from a buyer's perspective. The easiest way I can break it down, if you directly approach your bank, if you directly approach a developer, if you directly approach one agent with one unit that you ask to view, and then you won't really give out further information about your wider search, all of those 3 points that I've just mentioned, the bank, the developer, and the agent with the one property, their motivation is to sell you that one thing that they have. So the bank is interested in selling you that bank's product. The developer is interested in selling you that developer's product. The broker with that one listing that you won't really tell them anything further about your wider requirements wants to sell you that unit because they don't know what else to sell you. If you build a relationship with someone who you're happy to work with and who you will give information to, who can then provide you with information in return, that person doesn't care what you buy. That person doesn't care where you buy. That person cares about making sure that they provide you a service so that you do buy. That's probably the easiest way that I can break it down. I hope that makes sense. But with you guys, for example, if you come to me with your requirements of 2.5 mil, and then we have a conversation and I understand from that conversation what you want to achieve, I don't expect to be able to sit in Ross's seat at his work or Kim's seat in her work and know how to do your job or know anything about your industry. But we spend all day, every day, every hour of the day speaking about ours. So we at least should have some morsel of information to be able to share with you to help with your search.
Correct.
So then we can provide you 100 different options, start shortlisting it down. Great, we've got a shortlist. Let's go out and have a look. And then again, we don't care where you buy, who you buy it through, what bank you use, as long as we provide you the service that finds you the best option at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to know. And it's so important to know how important a professional is in this industry, in this area of investment, in this area when you're purchasing something, because at the end of the day, it's probably going to be the biggest purchase of your life and you don't want to make a mistake with it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So on to quality. Okay, quality is a big one. You have the worst quality and the best quality. I mean, you have such a big range in Dubai. How does someone buying a property know where to get the best quality for their money?
Huge topic in Dubai, and kind of back onto what we said about the building on your own plot, like, let's be honest, we've got much less regulation on a lot of these things here than we do in other markets. So we do need to be very, very careful about quality. It kind of, off the back of what we've just said, if you are then at the point that you're working with someone that you are happy to work with, they should be able to help you and guide you on that journey. And just be honest. Like, if you're looking at something that I know is not great, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to say, I probably wouldn't but it's your decision. You make your own informed decision, but I'll give you that information. I'm not going to tell someone a product is great if it's not great. That's not me. So that is so important, to be working with someone who can tell you just straight down the middle, black and white, and advise you. You can see there's indicators, like as soon as you get out viewing stuff can look great online, and then you quickly get in, and as soon as you start opening the cupboard doors and as soon as you start touching things, you very quickly realize for yourself. But yeah, you definitely need to have someone there to guide you. But also, like, I know you guys do so much research, that also do your research.
Kim's the property research queen.
We see a lot of comments in our group about new companies popping up that are also building like townhouse communities, smaller communities, and they ask if it's worth it. So what do you have to say to that?
This is tough, right? Because this is where a lot of people do take an educated risk on Offplan, and sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. A lot of these companies have pedigrees in other places, so a lot of them aren't as independent as we think they are.
Okay.
A lot of them will have pedigree in Europe or a pedigree in some of the other parts of the Gulf, and you can look at their projects and speak to people that have kind of got a bit of knowledge of their products elsewhere. If they're genuinely new in the market and independent, there's no getting away from it. It's an Offplan risk. It's the same as every other Offplan risk, where you risk the time frame if it'll actually get done. I mean, you're protected now. You're protected by the escrow. You're protected by the laws that are now in place following what happened in 2008. But nobody wants to have that hassle and burden. So yeah, it's a risk, but it can pay off. Even if they look at Talal Gaf, obviously they're by no means a small developer. Absolutely not, from the rest of the Gulf and from other parts of the UAE. But they weren't really known here in Dubai. Not everybody went and did that research. A lot of people just went, oh, it's a new name. The people that did that research and then bought an Elan 3-bed at 1.2 mil.
Oh my goodness.
And are now selling it at 2.8. It's worth your time doing that research.
100%.
We kicked ourselves for not knowing about this community coming up, because we weren't actually in the market in Dubai at that time. We were back in Abu Dhabi. And when we saw Tilal Khaf, by the time we saw it, was, I think, last year, right?
Yeah.
2022.
I think you came to me and you said, this is the place where we're buying.
Yeah.
So you're very keen on it.
It's very easy to say that now, that it's tangible. And it's the same with every project. It's very easy to say that now, that it's tangible. There's 10 other projects that we could speak about that aren't tangible, and the people that unfortunately invested in those are now in the opposite position. So we're sitting here saying that now because we can see it and we can touch it and we can feel it and we know what it is.
Yeah.
And we can see how the rest of the project is developing. But if we were in one of the other projects, I'm obviously not going to name names, but if we were in another project that wasn't so fortunate and isn't now in that position, it's a flip of a coin at sometimes.
Yeah. So it comes back to having someone who you trust, a professional who you trust in the industry, who knows the industry inside out, knows Dubai real estate market inside out, and can guide you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we are firm believers on not paying excessive fees to get professionals to help you for certain things. But I strongly believe that when it comes to property, professionals are the way to go. Like you said, you guys are on the ground. You guys know exactly what's going on. At the end of the day, I could be just a normal person going out to try buy a property on my own, and I could be paying 20% more than the market price, But if I had a professional to guide me, you can say, no, this is 20% above the market price. You should offer this.
Yeah.
And there's some companies that are really big and they have a presence, but they don't necessarily deliver excellent quality. And you would think that they do if you don't know the market, because they have these huge communities with, lots of options and villas and all sorts of things.
Yeah, every product has a market. Like I might suggest something to you that I won't suggest to somebody else for specific reasons personal to the two clients. But yeah, it's vitally important that you're getting impartial, genuine information. And listen, there's over 2,000 brokerages here. There's 10,000 registered agents, let alone the ones that are unregistered. So if something doesn't feel right, pick someone else. Like pick someone that you resonate with.
You need to gel with the person.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick someone that you feel like you can have a conversation with, they're a person. Number one, like there's nothing worse than going out with someone and it's like, hello, this is the door. The door is open.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Goodbye.
Bring
like
your,
a robot.
or bring your checkbook.
Yeah,
It's the
like,
first thing they say to
like speak to a person that's going to have a conversation with you. And actually, it shouldn't feel formal.
Yeah.
I don't think. That's my personal belief. Different people work in different ways.
I agree. Okay, so if I come to you and I say I'm ready to buy today, what boxes do I need to have ticked before I approach my agent or my mortgage advisor?
Yeah. Okay. So I think we touched on affordability. So understand what kind of capital you have set aside for this investment, whether it's an investment or a purchase of your own. And then those professionals can work back from that. So if you go to a mortgage advisor and say, look, this is my situation, you tell me how, like what I can do here, what I can play with. I wouldn't say you need that much prior work done before you approach the mortgage advisor. That's kind of step one. Get your finances in order, get your pre-approval in place. The only other thing I would say is what we touched on earlier. Understand a bit of an idea of what you want to look at. Don't come and say, I would like to buy a house, please.
Yeah, so people who are not financially savvy, like myself, because I'm actually not financially savvy, Ross is the one in the relationship who is, but if we were both me, we'd be kind of screwed. So for people like me, when you go to a mortgage advisor and you get pre-approval, how long do you have to find a property?
Generally, your pre-approval is valid for 60 days and extendable by 30 days. Now, I'm not a mortgage advisor, so by no means am I going to provide you mortgage advice. I'm not going to try to. But again, just generally speaking, once you have pre-approval, you'll be valid for 60 days. You need to be in a position where you've signed your final offer letter within that 60 days. And you can get an extension should you need it. The way I explain it to people, if they come say, oh no, I don't want to get pre-approval. It's non-committal, right? It's a commitment thing.
Yeah.
They don't want to get the pre-approval because they think they're suddenly going to be forced to buy a house. Obviously,
I would feel that way.
But if you know that you want to make a purchase in the next 3 months, okay, so you guys are lining yourself up, just to use you guys personally, you guys are lining yourself up to be in that position that you're ready to buy. When you get to that position that you are ready to buy, if you do not get pre-approval then, and you spend 2-3 months finding exactly what you want, right now we're in a market that there's 10 buyers for that unit. If you do not have pre-approval, you're not even in the queue. You're not even on the list. So the best of times to buyer's market is very quick. Right now, obviously, it's much quicker than we often see. But if you do not have your pre-approval in place and you get to that point where you found the perfect place and you want to move forward, if that seller isn't happy to engage with you because you don't have pre-approval, and then you do lose that unit. And I know this sounds like a very brokery thing to say, but right now there's 10 buyers for that unit. It's the truth. It's happening. So if you do lose that unit and then you spend 2 weeks getting pre-approval, best case scenario, if the bank asks for more documents, sometimes it can take a little bit longer. Heavens forbid if you're self-employed and it takes a very long time. So if you take 2 to 4 weeks to get pre-approved, the frustrating thing for you is that you're back at the start.
Yeah.
So you've just gone through, you've narrowed down your shortlist, you've found exactly the communities that you want to focus on. You're now ready to move forward and find the exact unit. So you've decided you want to buy in Slough. You're now looking at, you've got 4 units to choose from. You go in, you find which one's closest to the pool or which one's single row or which one's back in the pool. You know, you find the one specific to you. You've done all that work and then you spend 2 to 4 weeks getting pre-approved and you feel like, oh my goodness, everything's changed. The prices have changed. The stock availability's changed. You're back to the beginning again.
And you can lose a lot of money that way because obviously the best units go first.
Yeah, the market's so changeable right now.
So that is the main thing, right? So you need to have your pre-approval. And then is it pretty simple from there?
Yeah, understand your finances, understand an idea, at least a bit of a short list of where you want to start your search. Listen, very, very seldom do people end their search where they started their search, but having a starting point is huge. And get pre-approval. If you know you're going to buy in the next 3 months, get pre-approval.
Okay.
I'm sure you have so many people coming to you and be like, I'm ready to buy and I'm so excited. This is my budget. This is it. Have you got your mortgage yet? No, I don't have my mortgage. And when I apply for my mortgage, because I have this debt and that debt and this debt, the bank disapproves it.
Yes, it's difficult. Like it's not as easy as people think. And so commonly the banks will put stipulations or put caveats on your approval. So you might have worked out your capital that you've got available. You might have worked out your down payment off the back of that. Say you've got 2 mil. You then find your perfect unit. And then you go to your mortgage advisor and then they say, you need to clear your personal loan. So that's 50 grand. and you need to reduce all your credit card limits by half. Suddenly you've wiped 50% of your down payment out of your pot,
Yeah.
Correct.
and your search has completely changed.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to understand where you stand
Yeah.
before you get too loved up on something.
Yeah. Didn't you have to cancel a few credit cards because you had just taken credit cards for the benefits?
Yeah, I had around 4 or 5 different credit cards because I'm a sucker for benefits
It's
and
just, you're
promotions.
definitely a man with air miles.
100%, yeah. Not air miles actually, but I love the cash back, But when it comes to credit card benefits, this is all me. But yeah, I've spoken to my mortgage guy a few times already regarding buying a property, and he's advised me what I need to do. He hasn't obviously applied for the pre-approval yet because it only is available for like a few months. So he has just told me, do this, do that, and you would be better off when it comes back to how much the bank can loan you. Back home, you don't need 25% of the property value because who has 25% of the
Exactly.
property value in your bank, right?
You'll be surprised in Dubai.
Well, yeah, but it's
Yeah,
about the only place they could pull that off.
correct.
The average Joe.
Yeah.
But I mean, I completely understand, just to avoid people just getting on the next plane home and leaving their mortgage debts there for the bank to clear. So the bank at least has that security of that 25% plus all those background checks that they do. And a lot of people say, I want to buy and I will take a loan for this 25%. I just want to make it very clear to everyone listening. It's possible, yes, on one side, but there's a lot of steps you need to do in order to get it. And I don't know how legal is it. I mean, what is your view on this?
Yes, it's commonly done. It's possible. All I would say is if you need additional funding to fund your down payment, don't try and do it yourself. If you need to find a way to fund some of your down payment, speak to a mortgage advisor, speak to a mortgage broker, find the correct and legitimate way to do it.
Yeah.
Don't try and go off on a tangent and do it yourself.
Yeah,
That's all I would say.
because when you sign for something, you pay the fee, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it's not, we were just speaking about this actually. It's not like other markets in the world where you can pull out until the day before transfer. Once you've signed, unless you've got a legitimate reason within the contract that it falls out of bed. So you need to be ready here. You need to be ready before you put yourself in that position.
When we look at Offplan and just a ready property, this is something so interesting. Because, I mean, before I got to this country, I didn't really understand this. I don't know if it's only done in the UAE or it's done elsewhere, but I don't think this is a thing in
Not
South
done
Africa.
commonly in South Africa, but you do get off-plan properties in South Africa, but it's very rare.
Yeah, so when we got here, when we heard about the Offplan, because that was our first purchase, as you know, in Belgravia too, we bought it Offplan. We didn't understand what that was about until we actually were pitched it, So what is your view on buying off-plan or buying a ready property in terms of the pros and the cons?
Yeah. So off-plan isn't accessible for everyone. So that's number one. That's obviously why it comes with its benefits. Not that it's an exclusive club, just cash flow wise, it's not accessible to everyone, and that is what it is. So you need far greater cash flow, obviously, to go into something off-plan, even if it's ready a long way down the line, even if it's ready in 5 years, you're going to be paying large payments, significant payments at incremental periods of time. So you need larger cash flow for off-plan. If you are buying something that's going to be your forever family home, if you're buying it off-plan, obviously you don't get the sense of touching it and feeling it. You're buying it off-plan. You are buying it off drawings and off renders. You're putting your faith in the developer as to what's going to be handed over. And you obviously do not have cash flow coming in if you're an investor over the build period. So it's different investors work in different ways. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than this, but to put it as simply as possible, if you're an investor and you're buying ready, you're going to get immediate cash flow. You're going to get immediate return on your investment. If you're buying off plan, there should be a gap between the price if that product was ready today and the price you are paying for waiting 2 or 3 years, but you have no cash flow over 2 or 3 years. So your income over that period ultimately should be the appreciation that property attracts over that period. Some buyers are specifically attracted to one rather than the other. Some investors like to spread their portfolio. So some investors obviously off plan's a bit riskier. There's no ifs or buts about that. Off plan is riskier. So some people like to spread if they're in a position where they've got a bit of a portfolio. They'll have some ready, some off plan. There's definitely pros and cons to both. Being cash flow related, being with off plan, you can make significant amounts of money, like we just said about Talal. Con being the risks.
To put it into a personal aspect, we were looking for off plan due to the attractive prices.
Yeah.
But Now we are looking for a ready property, because at the end of the day, if we take an off plan and it's only been ready in 1 year, 2 years time, we pay in 1 or 2 years worth of rental at the same time as we making these huge payments, which is for a lot of people that is out of their reach, So people that are looking into buying property and off plan ready, you need to take that into account, that you will be renting. If you live in Dubai, if you're overseas, it's a different story. You will be renting in Dubai with these crazy prices while you're waiting for your property to get built.
Yeah, it can be frustrating to look at, again, retrospectively. But the thing is, and I tell people this all the time, and I compare it to COVID pricing, right? So it's fair enough us saying, oh, someone bought that at 1.2 and I'm buying it at 1.8. Sorry, 2.8. This is mental, like in a land 3-bed. But the fact of the matter is, only 10% of these people were in a position to be able to take advantage of that. So I'm in the same position that you guys are in. We've got, as we said, pretty much the same brief. I'll be buying hopefully towards the end of the year. I know what these people paid for their unit. It's completely irrelevant. As much as you look at it and go, oh, that's a bit annoying, it's completely irrelevant, right? I'm not in a position to take advantage of that. So why consider it? It's the same as if you go, oh, I should have bought during COVID, the prices. It was a world pandemic. Like that doesn't happen every day. It's not going to happen next week, is it? So,
and it's the same thing with everything, right? I should have bought last year because the price was this.
But it's the same as off plan, because not everybody, like such a tiny percentage of people were in a position where they could make that commitment during the pandemic. Like the vast majority of us were going, I hope I still have a job. I hope I still have my health. I hope I don't need to go back to back to your home country. There was only a tiny percentage of people that had the available capital to go, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this. So it's irrelevant. If you're not in that position where you can take advantage of it, don't think about it.
I'm laughing a little inside because we were stuck in South Africa and he was put on unpaid leave for 4 months and we were actually looking at a property to purchase. That was like kind of out of our reach, and it was off plan also. It was off plan. So that we just a little bit crazy like that. We like to take risks. We didn't end up going with it because it was too risky. We didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, that's why I'm giggling a bit here.
So let's talk about those people that were able to take advantage during the pandemic time, those people that are looking for, let's say, around the 4 million, 5 million, 6 million bracket. So where are they looking these days?
Yeah. So surprisingly, to people that aren't familiar with the Dubai market, this still falls within a volume category. So I know we've been speaking about average Joe 2 to 2.5 mil. For a lot of people, this is average Joe, this is volume. Correct. So you're just looking at a slightly different community, or in some instances the same community, just a slightly different cluster or community. So looping back around to Talal, as Kim mentioned earlier, you might be looking, instead of looking at an Alan, you're looking at a Harmony, you're looking at an Order of Gardens, you're looking at one of these other clusters. Those communities offer vast arrays of options for these sorts of price ranges. Dubai Hills, obviously still hugely in demand, massively on fire, that community, incredible community. You've got so many communities that we've already touched on that you're just looking at. Previously, we were speaking at 2 to 2.5 mil. Let's be honest, now that's just getting you into the community.
Yeah.
So what we're now speaking about is the rest of those communities, not the first cluster, the rest of the clusters. Not a great deal changes. You open yourself up to more options. You open yourself up to more location choices. You know, you could, at that sort of price range, I think a big thing that changes is the location. So you could, instead of pinning yourself to Al Qudra or pinning yourself to the outskirts, you can now come into town. So if you want something a bit older, you can go look at Emirates Living, go look at Springs, Lakes, Meadows, all these types of places. You can look a bit closer to town. You could look at Green Community. You could look at Motor City. Location-wise, you're going to help yourself out. Unless you want to be close to town, if you want something modern, you're looking at the same places we were speaking about earlier. You're just looking at a different unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it just opens up extra options. You're not going to get a mansion for 5 to 6 million. Definitely not during the market these days.
It gives you a bit more space.
Correct.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is very important for most people. And when you're talking about the best place for your buck, this is, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, where can I get the best value for my money?
Yep.
Talking about space, quality, community.
Yeah, I'm glad you went into that, because I was about to say it's completely subjective.
Yeah.
So what you might feel is value for what you want is well, it's actually not, because we want the same thing. But me and you probably aren't a good example of this. But what you guys want versus what the people I'm going to go and meet this afternoon want, your perception of value may be completely different. And that's the way the world works. We're all different people, but the person you are speaking with, their job is to show you what's value to you and what's value to them, being completely different things based on what you say. If you mean purely price per square foot in the type of volume market that we were discussing, and we want to try and keep it to sort of that sort of volume market. But if you're looking at volume market price per square foot, going back to JVC, not just because it's my area, but you will end up back in JVC. The JVC, JVT, another non-gated villa community, but you get huge space for your money in comparison to other communities.
Yeah, and it's a very quiet area, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen some properties online. Actually, I think from Alsop and Alsop, the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
In that community, it looks very nice.
Yeah, they are. There's options out there which give you lots of space. Like JVT, the reason people end up pigeonholing themselves into JVT or one district within JVC is because there's these independent villas where they're a 2-bed villa, which you're like, what? But they're very easy to manipulate the floor plan, very easy to extend, adapt, change.
That's what I saw.
But they have between 6,500 and 8,500 square foot plots. So if you like a garden, pretty much, you know, the rest of Dubai, we don't have it, or we have substantially less than what you would expect for your money in other parts of the world. These communities, if you appreciate outdoor space, they're uncomparable. You literally have no other option.
Yeah.
It's good to know. So people that are looking for the bigger gardens, bigger areas, they need to look here.
Remember I showed you that video in JVT? It was the 2-bed with a big garden.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were quite shocked.
It was
Yeah,
quite
they're
cool,
huge.
but you can
Yeah.
renovate it.
I've seen some people doing incredible things with them. And we're in Dubai. So whilst we're in Dubai, take advantage of that. You're getting this work done is far lower cost than what it is in the vast majority of the other parts of the world. So if you're buying something slightly older, but you're getting far more value for your money, don't be scared to put some money into it. Do a kitchen, do a bathroom.
It's quite exciting, actually.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Make it your own. Make it different to the cookie cutters or the rest of the...
Yeah.
Correct.
And structurally, are those very reliable, those 2 beds that you were talking about with the space? Are they solid?
So they're an older Nikhil build. The build itself is solid. I'm not going to say there's not stuff that you're going to want to do or stuff that you're going to have to do. Of course there is. They have their traits the same as everything else. When you buy in Dubai, you need to buy with an open mind. There's going to be stuff that you're going to need to do maintenance wise, especially if you're buying an older property. But the fundamentals of those units, they're solid and they're very easy to manipulate. They were designed specifically to be easy to manipulate. So there's certain ways that you can't do whatever you want. You can't build one and go, right, I'm going to build onto the back of the plot. There's certain things that you are and are not allowed to do.
Yeah.
And again, a different day, I can talk you guys through personally exactly the intricacies of what you are and are not allowed to do to those. But they are very easy to manipulate. So they're very simple to add additional beds on, or you can build a third onto the side of the property if you want to extend it all the way up to that size. Or there's certain things that you can do, and without spending loads of money, there's certain things you can do inside as well. So there's easy adaptations you can make to add additional space inside without doing that masonry work outside.
Amazing.
In your opinion, what is the future of Dubai property market? What is there on the horizon for us?
It's very exciting. So because there's so much, I think because there's so much, I don't want to use the word hype, right? Because hype makes it sound like it's going to come to an end. Because there's so much confidence. Because there's so much demand, because there's so many people coming here. I feel like, I don't know if it's just because we're now here and we're established, but it feels like Dubai's in a place where I don't think from an outsider's perspective, I ever saw it the way that it is now. Like everybody's speaking about it. Everybody's coming here on the world's platform.
Celebrities.
Literally, it's crazy. Like the stuff we're seeing now with not only just independently built stuff, so obviously where people are pushing the boundaries with what they're building on super luxury end, which of course with Jebel Ali Palm now relaunched, we're going to see some crazy stuff going out on there. But also community wise, like when you asked about if we move price range a little bit higher, Ema's just launched Oasis, which when we didn't know what it was going to be, it's funny because Ross and I were speaking about, Ema are doing this big new launch. Let's keep an eye on it. It might be an option for us. And then we found out what it was going to be. And I was like, it's not an option.
Not for us.
It's not for me and you. But that's a huge community. It's going to be a very affluent community, but it's incredibly exciting. So somebody's building, or Ema are building, this huge, very premium, high-end affluent community. And location-wise, you would previously have thought, oh, that's quite far out of the way, but now it's not. We're pushing the boundaries. Those examples, obviously Al Barari is already up and running, but that's similar. It's like very affluent, full community. These projects are very exciting.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. I mean, just to drive around with people from, let's say, our home country, when they look at the buildings and they're like, just the architecture is absolutely incredible.
Even when they come to our community where we stay now, which is apartment buildings, they are so shocked and impressed at the facilities and how,
Absolutely.
how everything's laid out.
The way that Dubai pushes the boundaries is just unbelievable. It basically shows that the rulers of the country do not have limits in their minds.
100%.
Right? They just, whatever they want to do, whatever they dream about the night before, they can make it a reality. And it's unbelievable.
And the standard of living is on the rise. It's already a really high standard of living, but it's on the rise.
Absolutely.
You've just touched on amenities. I think that's the other area that I was going to go into there. When you talk about future, we've seen some very exciting launches amenity-wise. So we've been in this space for a very long time where we spoke about earlier, you have a place, you have a pool, you have a gym. That's what everywhere has. We're moving into a space now where apartments and apartment developments and developers, we've had a few launches recently with some mind-blowing amenities being built in, and not even just on that ultra luxury end, like coming now into the volume market. So you've got Oro 24 bringing Levanto in, which has 24 amenities in the building. So you've got like a building alley, a cinema on the roof, like crazy stuff. Obviously, we've had buildings with nice amenities before. You've got the EMAR stuff in the marina with squash courts and things like that. But this is like next level.
Yeah.
And there's a few more launches like that. There's one that was launched yesterday afternoon. Don't know when this is going to go out. It's probably sold out by the time that you listen to this. But there was one launch yesterday afternoon with, again, very similar 35-story building, but with insane plethora of amenities. So when you ask about where we see the future, very excited about the villa communities pushing the boundaries, but also very excited about apartment developments diversifying and not just sticking to the norm. People are now making unique stuff to stand out from the crowd, which is super, super exciting.
Yeah, I saw an apartment with a secret room in one of the hallways. It had like a secret door and you go in and it's a games room.
Yeah.
It was a games room and a lounge.
So perfect examples is like the collectives in Dubai Hills. So they're packed with amenities as well, similar to what that's immediately resonated with what you've just said. Is they've got co-working spaces, they've got like a cafe for the residents, they've got a cinema room. It's amazing. So there's some cool stuff happening.
So the concept is to get you out of your apartment and socializing with the other people in the community.
You know what? It's very clever because what they've done is they've made the units smaller and packed. Built them with lots of amenities.
Yeah.
So they can sell more units.
Yeah.
But then they say, oh, you've got a 300 square foot studio, but you've got 15,000 square foot of communal space downstairs.
You don't have to spend much time there.
Yeah, that's the thing. But it's a clever move from the developers, but it's exciting. These are cool places to go and see, and they're concepts that we've not really had before here. And they're springing up.
And it's really cool for the young people. So like a young crowd who maybe want to come study here, maybe they're trying to get more students, more university students and have like a younger crowd here. Who knows? But I can imagine when I was that age, that would have been amazing.
If you're in your young 20s and you've just arrived and you don't have a network and you don't want to sit and be sad in a studio by yourself, wondering why you've moved halfway across the world and you're scraping to pull money together to buy noodles for the first year. Like those communal spaces are amazing.
Yeah, it's the perfect place. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's where it comes to, do you want space? Do you want the community? There's so many aspects that you have to look at in yourself before you come to a professional, right? What do you want? If you want the community, then you find a place that has a great community, but you will sacrifice in your actual apartment. That's where a lot of people's mind lies when it comes to property.
Sometimes you don't know that yourself. Like you don't know every single project that's out there. We don't know every single project that's out there. But like for us, for example, we've got a network of 100 of me that specialize in, and that's why having a specialist in the area is so important, because we should know every inch of that specific area.
Yeah.
But if I think an area is going to work for you, but I don't specialize in it, I'm not going to try and bluff my way through that. I'm going to speak to the guy that's the specialist in it, and I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to take you there so that you don't need to describe and explain your situation 1,000 times every time you meet someone. So me and you will still do the talking between each other and how this reflects versus the rest of your search. But I'm going to take Joey with us, who's going to tell us everything about this new project and this new building that's coming up, which I've seen a few photos and I think, let's go see. I think it's going to be really exciting for what you guys want.
Amazing.
So speaking about the future in Dubai real estate, do you think that we're going to see more flexible plans? For example, an amazing community that also offers the space. Obviously for a bit of a higher price, but for your average Joe, so say your budget is between 2 and 4.5. Do you think we will see townhouses with a bit more space, for example, in a wonderful community?
Tough question. Because a lot of the stuff that we've had recently, like a lot of the villa communities, are within the same sort of size bracket, like we said. However, there are exceptions to that. If you go down to Al Farjan West, so Al Farjan West is a great example. That whole area was sand, and was a developer could go in and buy a plot to build 10 townhouses. They could go in and buy a plot and build 5 townhouses. It's accelerated so fast over the last 3 years that it's now at a point where you wouldn't look at it and think it's a sandpit. There's still a lot of work to be done, but there's a lot of stuff that's now there and completed. But that's an example of an area where you can get more for your money. You can go down there with a price range that if you leave Al Qudra, you're going more to the south end of Dubai, but it's got a metro link. It's 10 minutes from the marina on the metro. But you have fantastic options that give you something new, something that looks contemporary, with more space. And there is a lot of different options down there because it's not one master community and there's not one developer that's built everything. You could go down there and look at 5 different things in the price range, and that's one place that those 5 things will be completely different. So yeah, there are little kind of sweeties here and there where you can get, if that is your motivation.
And I see they're building amenities there too, in that area. They're building like a community feel. Am I correct about that?
So they've got the pavilion, which in there at the moment you have already got the Irish pub, you've got the community elements in there.
They've renovated it, right? It's the old.
They have, yeah. So you have that. West is so large that there's definitely stuff that's gonna happen in there. The difficulty is a lot of it is in independent developers. So if you buy one of 4, your benefit is that you found that one unit that you have resonated with, you love it. It's the space that you want that you can't get anywhere else. It's the finish that you really like. It's got a bit of a garden, might have a little plunge pool outside, and you've gone, I literally can't get this anywhere else. There's one of 4 of them. Your sacrifice then, or your compromise, I wouldn't say sacrifice, your compromise then is you're one of 4. So you're not going to have a big community. That independent developer who bought that plot and built those 4 townhouses, they're not then going to build a pool of gem pie. Like, you've not got that stuff around it. You're always going to have some level of compromise.
Correct.
So you got to decide what that is for you.
100%.
Yeah.
This is so important. Before you meet anyone, you need to actually have an idea of what you want. Otherwise you're going to be going with Ryan every single day for the next 4 years to try and find a perfect place for you, and I don't think Ryan has the time.
Especially not these days. Is there anything else you would like the listeners to know from your side?
It's a curveball. I think we've had a very good discussion. It's nice to have a
also think so. It's been juicy.
Yeah, it has been juicy.
Yeah.
All I hope is that it gives people impartial perspective on the market, right? I don't know who's listening. They're not in my phone. I'm not trying to sell them anything. This is my feet on the ground and my view. Like, if you speak to another broker, they might have another view, but you've got a perspective of someone who is on the other side of what's going on. So it's in my interest to show you as much as I possibly can, right? So a year ago, if somebody came to me in my area and said they had, let's use the example we've been using all day, they have 2.5 mil, they want a 4-bed townhouse. I'd want to go out and show them 10 things. I physically can't today. There aren't 10 things available for sale. Yeah. So I would love to show them that and narrow them down to stuff that they like and use their feedback to find something else. But right now, we're just not in that position. So we're getting people come to us that go, I'm going to look for other options. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have them out viewing as much as we possibly can. But after that time, they're coming back to us and going, oh, actually, I now realize all the brokers aren't actually telling me fibs. This is true. The stock is as bad as we say. It's like, it honestly, it is. So I think the only thing I would want to add that we've not spoken about now, which I'm going to be subject to this year, you're going to be subject to this when you guys make that decision to buy. If it's an investment, it's slightly different. It's money driven, right? So you need to be a little bit emotionally detached, which is tough if it's like your first investment, or if it's unless you're familiar with the feeling with parting with cash, it's a huge thing and it can be an emotional decision. But as an investment, mainly it's purely about money. If it is your home, you are more attached to the location within the community. You are more attached to the specifics that you want. Right now, you're not going to get everything that you want in your tick box at the price where you put into Property Finder the community and then go low to high. You're not going to get the single row park back in unit that's vacant on transfer for the price that's on the lowest end of property.
Yes.
Right? It's just not going to happen.
Bottom line is you need to be realistic. Right?
Yeah, you need to be ready to compromise, and you need to be ready to decide which parts you are willing to compromise on and which parts you aren't.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, you might see listings like that online, but they're not real.
Exactly.
We're getting much better at that. We're getting much better at that.
Great.
I don't mean us individually. I don't post fake listings. Thank you. Just putting that out there. But FYI. But no, I mean the portals. The market as a whole is. The market as a whole is getting much better at that. New regulations came in last October, which make it very, very difficult for people to post fake listings. The amount of effort people put into posting fake listings is outstanding. If they just put that same effort into finding units that's available for sale, they would sell a lot more properties.
100%.
So the regulations that came in last October have massively reduced the amount of fake listings. The portals are much more active off the back of that infrastructure to remove the fake listings. So they're still there. Sold stuff, I would say, is more our bugbear now than stuff which is genuinely just fake.
Okay.
But they're adding in tools that help you kind of dig underneath that. So you have the true check. So
Yes.
I know you would have heard it all over the radio, but to tell you how that works, when I have a listing and I've uploaded the listing and I've uploaded the documents to prove that you've Ross as a seller signed to say that I can represent that property for you. Once you have validated those documents, I then need to visit the property, log on to my app, which is location tracked. I then need to take a picture with the front door open and a picture inside the property and upload it to my portal from that location. I can't go back to the office and just upload it from a photograph.
Oh,
That's unbelievable. I never heard about that.
Yeah, to prove that I have been in that property and the door has been opened and that the photos match the photos we've put on.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, they're adding lots of stuff in there to try and minimize that.
Fantastic.
So yeah, Bayut True Checks is that, like, that's the one where it's kind of foolproof, like, unless it's sold.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to fake that.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than seeing a listing and being like, I need to see this property. Oh my God, look at the price, look at this. And then you message the person and ask, sorry, I sold it today.
Yeah, funny that. So you know what though, sometimes that does actually happen. Like, it happened to me this week.
True.
I felt like such a horrible human being. Like, he messaged me, so I picked up the checks. I think it was like 5 o'clock on Tuesday night. I picked up the checks and I got, it's sod's law, always happens. The day you sell it, you get loads of inquiries on it. So the following morning, I wake up every morning and respond to the leads that came in overnight, because apparently nobody in Dubai sleeps. And the first person was like, oh, can I view it today? And I had to be that guy. I was like, I genuinely did sell this last night. I'm really sorry.
Okay, guys, so it does happen.
It does. Sometimes it is true. Like, sometimes it is true.
Amazing. So guys, if you would like to get in touch with Ryan, honestly speaking, from a personal point of view, he's amazing, very trustworthy. We've been with him for quite some time. He sold our first property that we bought, which was...
And we've been through a lot of agents.
Correct. And Ryan is the one that's stuck. And when we do buy in the future, it will be through Ryan. So if you would like to get in touch with Ryan, please let us know. We can put you in touch. That's one option. Another option is you can message him directly. He will share his Instagram and all of his social medias very shortly. Use the code UAE GYF and he will pay special attention to you, as he will know that you will be coming through the group, coming through the podcast, coming through our network, because he always does take extra care of our members.
He's a busy guy, but as long as you're part of the community, we're like a little family. So make sure that you say UAE GYF when you contact him.
You can contact me on WhatsApp or call me anytime on 058 509 4668, or you can find me on Instagram, JVC_RV. Everybody loves a broker on Instagram.
I actually really
Not.
do. No, I actually really do. I enjoy going to the Instagram accounts. Some brokers have amazing Instagram accounts. They live in the communities that they sell in, and then they show like their family lives, and taking the children to school takes 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and they show, everything.
Some people do an incredible job of that. I'm
Yeah.
unfortunately not that person. Maybe I could pay you to run my Instagram.
Time, I'm
It's
sure.
yeah, that's the thing, and it's so hard right now. Like we're working literally. I'm not joking. Like I'll be sitting up at midnight, 2 a.m. still working.
Yeah.
It's mental right now. So, yeah, it's not the highest of my list of priorities. Posting on Instagram, but
I'm sure.
if you want to contact us on WhatsApp. Give me a call, drop me a message, grab me on Instagram or WhatsApp or on the phone anytime. Mention UAE GYF, whether it's something that we've discussed today or whether it's a topic that we've not covered today, whether it's, holiday homes, rentals, any community in Dubai. Obviously, we've discussed at length that I'm predominantly in the volume sector, but if you are in that premium luxury sector, if you are in any of the other sectors, our network is large, so large that I can point you in the right direction. And if it's not me, I'll put my hands up and say it's not me, but this person is the person you need to speak to. So yeah, by all means, get in touch.
100%. And we'll leave all the details in the description so you guys can go there and just check it out. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
It was so much fun.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Lovely conversation.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see you soon.
Definitely. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what a jam-packed episode. I really enjoyed that, and it makes you a little less scared to get into the property markets.
I'm still processing everything that I learned during that episode, and I truly feel that it's going to help us make a more solid, sound decision going forward and not make almost like a panic decision. I feel like we are equipped now to make an informed decision going forward, not just in which property to buy, but in how to go about the process.
Absolutely. So if you want to get in touch with Ryan, let us know. We can put you in touch. He definitely is one of the best property agents that we've personally worked with in our lives.
And you're one step closer because you have gotten involved by listening to this episode. You're already a step in the door. You've already started to do the research. You've already got yourself involved. Like we always say, get involved. So you're on the right track, and onwards and upwards. Let's all grow and succeed together. This is a really exciting space, isn't it?
And remember, guys, pay yourself first because you are worth it.
it.
Money